and I am live now on Facebook. So it's today's Live and Learn. We are going to be talking about a tip on how to be able to navigate this new normal. So again, hi Mom and hi Jasmine. I see you both are on an Instagram. And again, introducing myself once more, I am Yentl Lega, a holistic dietitian and stress therapist for women. And let's jump right into how we are going to be able to navigate this new normal. There have been so many different controversies and just different feelings about these new rules and regulations and really precautions that we have to take now that things are starting to open up, or some of us are starting to get out of the shelter in place. So there's still a lot of fear and just so many conflicting thoughts about it. There are people who are embracing it, and then there are people who are just do not want this to be their normal, which is understandable. This doesn't feel normal, does it? You know, it doesn't. And that's why they're trying to call it the new normal. But I would say instead of calling it the new normal, if that's a trigger for you, if you're thinking, man, this cannot be normal, this is not how I want to raise my kids, I don't want my kids to have this fear of people, or to not be able to, you know, see their grandparents or see their family members or their friends, you know. And this is not just with kids. I a lot of my friends do have kids, so these are some of the thoughts. But even for, you know, those that don't have kiddos, just in general, you know, it just sometimes thinking of all these precautions that we're taking as the new normal can trigger a lot of overwhelm, a lot of stress, a lot of fear. So I do want us to think about it in a different way. So I will tell you, like I asked earlier, you know, what has been your work situation? So do let me know in the comments, you know, what is your work situation now? Are you working from home, or are you still, you know, having to go out to work? Let me know. But I have been working from home for almost 6 years now. So I work with a lot of patients with different chronic conditions, and a lot of them, their challenge has been transitioning to being home more. You know, whether some of them are still working or not, being home more has really changed the dynamics of their health, because their eating habits have really changed. So as opposed to like when they were at work, there was more of a routine, there was more of a schedule. And whoops, sorry guys on Instagram. I tapped and I switched the camera around. Sorry about that. So the transition from having a structured routine, you know, waking up at a certain time because you have to be at work at a certain time, you kind of already know what your commuting time is, and at work you might have scheduled breaks, or, you know, for whether it's your 15-minute break or whether it's a lunch break. Then you get home at a certain time, you have a certain time that you know, eat on your own or with family. There was more of a structure, right? And now being at home, there's less of that. You know, and that has been the biggest challenge that a lot of the patients that I have worked with, that I've been working with these past few months, and I'm telling you, I have spoken to hundreds of people, literally hundreds. So just to give you perspective, this is not just a few people that I've talked to. I mean, just last month alone, I talked to almost 200 people in the month. So the people that I've talked to, the main thing has been, oh my gosh, like, what do I do now that I am home? You know, I have no control over my eating. I've been, you know, just overeating, don't have a schedule to eat. So, you know, because they didn't set a structure. So what has been incredibly helpful with a lot of the patients that I've talked to recently is setting more of a structure, setting more of a routine. And they get this overwhelming relief of saying, you know what, yes, now I know, okay, at this time, I'm going to wake up at around this time, you know, make my breakfast at around this time, have lunch at around this time, yada, yada, you know, you have setting more of a routine with their eating habits. And it provides them not just peace of mind, but it empowers them. You know, it motivates them to then know, you know what, I got this. I know what is the issue and I can fix it. And that's the way to approach the situation now with the regulations that we have, with, you know, still keeping our distance, physical distance when we're going to certain places, wearing a mask, you know, to simply, you know, protect you from touching your face, and also protecting, you know, any droplets that might come. These regulations, when you think about it, it gives us not just structure, but it should empower us, because we know how this virus is transmitted. You know, we've been able to pinpoint, well, it's through person-to-person contact. Thankfully, and think about it this way, it is not airborne. Thankfully, it is a virus that I heard, this is the way that an ER doctor from New York described it. He said, the virus is a wimp because it can be killed with disinfectant. You know, unfortunately, yes, we don't have a vaccine yet if you get it, but the reality here is that it's incredibly preventable and killable. You know, and these precautions that we have is what we know will help protect us from contracting it and from spreading it. And that should be something that's empowering. Instead of providing fear, should empower you in knowing that, okay, like, we got this, just like my patients, we got this. We know what's causing it. We know how to stop it. We know how to have control of it. We can continue on strongly and motivated with our lives. So this is the way to think about the navigating the new normal, is instead of fighting it, you know, because a lot of us are trying to fight it because we feel like this is not the way we want to live our lives. Think about the day-to-day, think about the present time. You know, it does not mean that this is going to be our forever. You know, even the scientists and doctors and healthcare, you know, professionals and researchers have said this does not mean that this is our forever, but it is our now. So acknowledge that at the present time, this is what is going to allow us to continue on with our lives, you know, not having to be sheltered in place. And let that be an empowerment instead of something that causes you fear. And I know that sometimes seeing someone wear a mask or this whole physical distancing thing sometimes has us fear the other person, that they could be contagious. You know, think about it this way too. It's not about that the other person can be contagious. It's that this is how we know that we're not going to spread it to each other. That person, by simply being over there and you looking at them, you're not going to get it. And vice versa. You know, we have our grocery shop workers, mail people, our food delivery people. You know, they're also taking the precautions to make sure that that together we fight this thing, together we contain this thing. So, and Jasmine says that is the absolute truth. This is our now. Yeah, it is our now. Think about it like that. This is the present. This is our now. You know, if you want to take away the word new normal, take it away, but just say, this is my now. This is what I can do now. This is how I know right now I can protect myself and those that I love. So I will be here again, like I mentioned, every Wednesday. So again, next Wednesday, at 7, well, actually around 8ish next Wednesday to talk about the next tip for us to be able to stay sane and stay positive during this pandemic. And also for my ladies, sorry, my gentlemen, but for my ladies, I am still doing the self-care challenge this month in my Facebook group. So leave a comment with "I'm in" if you would like to join. It's free and it's private. So, you know, we are in a nice, intimate, and safe space to be able to nurture our mental health a little bit more. So that is that for today, everyone. Please continue to stay safe. Let these regulations empower you. They're not meant to be something to provide fear, and we will get through this. We are resilient. We have gone through so much in history and probably even in our own individual lives. So thankfully, this is honestly something that we can get through much easier than other things, but just taking in those small rules to follow in the meantime. So thank you everyone for your time. Remember that prioritizing you doesn't mean me first. It means me too. I almost forgot my own word. Sorry, it's been a long day. You guys have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I'll see you next week. Bye.